to help guide them so we can get started since we're a couple minutes behind 6, and we're going to go through this as quickly as we can. We appreciate everyone here tonight. We don't want to take up a lot of time, so we're going to run through some information about what you can expect as a fifth grader transitioning into 6th grade. We're not going to go over everything tonight. This is just a little snippet of information that you as parents, and if your child is here tonight too, will get some information about what it's like to be a middle schooler here at Eisenhower Middle School. One thing I want to add to that, you can see on our screen that we have the Eagles, who's at top, because we're better. And then the tornadoes are right below us. The information that we're going to share with you tonight is the same information that they're sharing at Anthony. And the reason why I say that is because of enrollment numbers, and Mrs. Klein and I have to keep enrollment numbers between both buildings as balanced as possible. Some students from Anthony have to come over to us. That's usually how it is. Usually nobody here wants to go over there. But sometimes that happens, and or they put in a request for whatever reason. Now, you're going to get to know me, and I like to clown around with your children, with you as parents. So to get started, I want to introduce myself. For those of you that don't know me, there's a lot of familiar faces in here, students and parents in here who already do. I'm Dave Martinez. I'm the building principal here at Eisenhower. Next year will be my 3rd year starting as principal. I've been in this building for 10 years because I was the assistant principal and athletic activities director prior to that. This is my 34th year in education. So I've been doing this for quite a while, and I love it. I can't give it up. I'm ready to retire. I'm eligible for retirement, but I don't want to retire yet because I love doing this. I love working with parents, the community, and most of all, kids. And so we are excited for you to be here tonight. It's a great turnout. I know there will be more coming in. So with that being said, I am going to ask, where's Mrs. Gann? Right here. For those, if we have anyone here tonight that needs translation in Spanish, she's going to ask those folks to move to the library now so that they can have this presentation in their native language.
Hola, buenas tardes. Mi nombre es Josefina. Si necesita en el lenguaje de español, vamos a estar en la biblioteca. En este momento vamos a pasarnos para allá. ¿Ok?
Thank you, Josephina. Now, at this time, I'm going to pass the mic. I'm going to start with this gentleman right here because he's going to go in there and help with the Spanish population if we have anyone that moves in there. Okay?
So Shane Neal, assistant principal, EMS coordinator. I've been here 2 years. Unfortunately, this is going to be my last year. I'm actually going to be a building principal, but I'm very proud of the culture we have here. So sorry. That's hard for me to lead. I appreciate everybody here. So,
my name is Craig Ackerman. I'm the other assistant principal here at Eisenhower Middle School. Last year, a lot of times I was called the new Dave because I took over his old role as athletic director and activities director. So this is my 2nd year as assistant principal here in the building. Love working here.
Hey everybody, my name is Angela Bunger. I am one of 2 counselors here at Eisenhower Middle School. This is my 13th year at Eisenhower, I believe, and about my 20th year in education. I've been a middle school counselor for 18 of those years. And yes, I've done middle school counseling for 18 years. And no, there's nothing wrong with me. This is an awesome age. I love working with middle schoolers. The amount of growth that we see from when they come in as 6th graders to when they leave as 8th graders, I don't think that any other stage in education sees the amount of growth that we do. And it's really fun and exciting. For many of you, this might be your first time working with school counselors, Mrs. Verbis and myself. We're here to help your students. We're also here to talk with parents. Many times, we're much easier to get a hold of during the school day than a teacher that's teaching 5 out of 7 classes. So if you ever have any concerns, any questions, feel free to reach out to us. We're happy to help. We do a lot of work with your students. Yes, we will work with them on their schedules, but that's just this teeny tiny bit of what we do. We meet with students if they're having a bad day or a conflict with another student, or they want to talk about their grades. We check in with students. So if your student comes and says, I'm with the counselor today. That does not mean they were in trouble or something is wrong. We're there to help. And like I said, we meet with our teachers every week as well. I just want to welcome you guys to Eisenhower. Part of the reason why I've been here so long is it's like a family. And part of that is because of the great families that we bring in every year, with our students, and they are families that come along with them. Next, I'm going to give it over to Ms. Burvis.
Hello, everyone. My name is Erica Rivas, and I am the other counselor. This is my 5th year at Eisenhower, my 8th-ish year in education. Mrs. Bunger did a good job of explaining what counselors do. I want to let you know that we work with all students, and we both really get to know all students, even though we do kind of have caseloads. I work with one team of the 6th graders, and Mr. Martinez will explain teams in a little bit. Mrs. Bunger works with the other team, so we both get to know all the 6th graders pretty well. And then after that, we get a loop with students, which is really nice. So this year I'm working with the 8th grade. Mrs. Bunger is working with 7th grade, but then next year we'll flip. So she will go with her 7th graders to 8th grade. So we really get to know kids over the 3 years, and that's really nice. As students switch teachers every year, they get to stay with us, and we get to kind of transition with them, which is really nice. I'm going to go and jump into our presentation. Oh, I forgot to mention, I apologize for my attire. I am coming straight from track practice. I normally don't dress like this, I promise, but I am coming from track practice, which is why I'm dressed so casually. Okay, I'm going to jump into some similarities and differences from elementary school. As you know, there's going to be a lot of things that are very similar and are going to look kind of the same as elementary, and a lot of things that are going to look very different. You will have pretty much the same kind of required classes. You're going to have science and social studies and math and language arts, and we'll touch more on those in just a minute. You'll have some of those exploratory classes, maybe you call them specials in elementary school. So you'll have music classes, you'll have art classes, you'll go to PE, and we'll talk a little bit about that. You will be with all 6th graders all day long. There'll be only 6th graders in your classes. Even though you're in the same building as 7th and 8th graders, you really will only see them during passing periods and kind of out and about. But most of the time you'll be with only 6th graders, similar to when in your elementary building. Some of the things that are different, you're going to have 8 different classes on your schedule. I'm not sure what your elementary schedule looks like, but you're going to have the same 8 classes every day, all year long. They'll switch a little bit. We'll talk about that, but you're going to have 8 different classes on your schedule, which means you'll be seeing 6 to 8 different teachers throughout your day. Some teachers you'll see a couple different times for different things, but you will be seeing different teachers, not the same teacher all day long like you may be doing now. You'll have different students in every class. A lot of students get really excited about this, so they get to change and transition. Maybe they'll class with their friends, maybe not the next class, and that's okay. But you'll get to interact with lots of different 6th graders from lots of different buildings in Manhattan. You are going to be on a team, and Mr. Martinez is going to explain those just a little bit. I mentioned them briefly. We have 2 teams at the 6th grade level. Band and orchestra is an option for the first time in 6th grade. Hopefully you got really excited about that with the band tours yesterday. And hopefully you've been learning about those options, and Mrs. Monaco is going to talk about that here in a little bit as well. And then you have lockers, which a lot of students get really excited about, and then they don't use them a ton their first year. And that's totally okay. Every student will be assigned a locker. Most students don't use theirs. They carry their book bag around with them all day, and that's okay. But it is exciting and nice to have. A lot of students do use their gym locker more often. Okay, I'll jump into those required classes. You are going to have these classes all year long, every single day. You will have language arts, math, science, and social studies. You'll have PE all year long, every day. That's really exciting. That's probably a difference from elementary school. So you'll have PE all day, every long. You will change out for PE, and they'll help you with that whole process. But you'll have that all year. And then you'll have advisory, which is kind of like a homeroom. And that will be with either one of those core teachers or maybe with an elective teacher. But you'll be with that teacher all year long. Advisory is just a 20-minute period at the end of the day. You'll be doing SEL lessons. You may be familiar with Second Step. You'll be doing some team building activities and other kinds of academic advising time during that last 20 minutes of every single day. And you'll get to know that advisory teacher really well.
Okay, guys, I've got the task of telling you all about teams. So as Mrs. Burbish just explained to you that we have 2 6th grade teams. Same way in Anthony, they have 2 6th grade teams. Our teams are designed by colors. So our school colors are green and silver. So your student will be either assigned to the green team or the silver team. That is randomly assigned. We do not handpick and go in and say, this one's going to this one, this one's going to that one. I want you to know, because sometimes we have parents call us or want to talk to me in the summertime and say, I want my child on the silver team, because maybe your next door neighbors with Mr. Inns. If it works out that way, great, but we cannot, or I cannot, as a building principal, make an exception for you, and I can't make it for all the other 112 parents that want their child to be on a designated specific team. So it is at random. I want you to know that if your child doesn't get the team color that they wanted, well, maybe next year they'll get that color, but it's at random. We have to keep our numbers balanced per team. We're planning right now, when we look at and crunch the numbers, we're expecting 266 graders in this building next year. That's awesome. So that means, if you do your math, that's 130 students on each team. So when we go back to teams, each team is made up of 4 core teachers. That is the core, the teacher assigned to that team for core, math, science, language arts, and social studies. So both teams have those 4, plus a resource teacher for students with IEPs. And then there are elective teachers that are assigned to that team. So this team that your child's going to be on could have 8 to 9 staff members on that team. And the thing that's the most awesome about having teams is the daily collaboration that your teachers have to talk about your students. How can we make sure that your student is successful? So the daily planning and implementation of curriculum, etc., the cross-curricular teaming, it is awesome in middle school, the way we design our teams and the setup of how to make your child be as successful as possible. And all of that happens with the teaming. The grade level administrator, the grade level counselors attend those team meetings, not every day, but they are there to answer questions, maybe to share information that we have on students. It is an awesome time for our staff, and that is the whole middle school concept is teaming. What's best for your child? Mrs. Rivers already talked about lockers. One thing that we do here at Eisenhower is we give kids the choice. They're going to be assigned a locker, but they don't have to use their locker. We still allow students since COVID to carry backpacks every day to school. And probably 85% of our students do that. And the great thing about that is we don't have all the congestion in the hallway and at lockers, because I can't get to my locker because there's already 4 people around my locker and I can't get in there. So most of our students and your student will probably carry their backpack with all of their things, their iPad, everything in it from class to class, and they may not use their locker, and that is okay. I talked about those things. Both teams at each grade level have the exact same classes. So there isn't that, well, green team has better class choices. No, they don't. They have the exact same thing, the same electives on the wheel as the silver team does. So that is what I want to mention about teams.
I will say Mr. Martinez covered that in a great way. We all recognize that this is a really big transition. And part of what students are really nervous about is, what if I don't know anybody in my class? Or what if I'm not in class with my friends? And we get that. That is hard. And we know that can be something that's a source of anxiety for students and for families that are hearing that worry at home. It's something to talk about now and just kind of process through and help remind your 5th grader that you won't be the only one that is nervous about that. You won't be the only one. You may go to a class and I don't know anybody there, but guess what? There's going to be like 3/4 of the people in that class that also don't know anybody. And every hour, like Ms. Rivas said, when they change and go to a different class, the same 30 kids in that class do not follow each other all day long. It will be a different mix of kids every hour. So even though your student may be on the same team as their best friend, they still may never have class together. So just thinking about that as an opportunity, we have plenty of time for them to be able to still see their old friends and connect, even if they're not in class with them. But they'll also have opportunities to meet a lot of new students when we have that many students that come together. But we do recognize that could be sometimes something that we're nervous and stressful about. So Ms. Hermes talked about those 4 core classes that are required that they'll have all year long: math, language arts, social studies, and science, and that advisory. Then they'll also have PE all year long. So that's 6. We talked about at the beginning, they'll have 8 classes every day. So we have 2 left. And those are going to be their exploratory classes. Now, these classes are a little different in that most of them are only 9 weeks long. Your students now, I think, are on like a trimesters, that's right. So they get a report card that comes home 3 times a year, right? We run by quarters. So we have 4 9-week quarters. So every 9 weeks, at the end of the 9 weeks, your student will have a report card that will come home, or you'll be able to see it on Parent Portal. And most of their schedule will stay the same. Those core classes, PE and advisory will stay the same, but their exploratory classes are going to be the ones that might switch every 9 weeks. And those are going to be classes that are basically designed to help your students get a taste of the electives that we have to offer in 7th and 8th grade. And like I said, those are going to be ones that are going to be randomly assigned to them, and they rotate through those throughout 6th grade, and they change. Now, with the exception of, like we talked about, band and orchestra, those classes, but band and orchestra are year-long classes. But if your student is in band or orchestra, they'll still have another hour of exploratory time where they'll take 4 different exploratory classes. And if you're wondering or interested in like, what are those exploratory classes? Our course description book is all digital. It's online and it's on our website. Under our counseling corner, we'll also send that direct link out to your teachers so they can share it with you as well. We have a full description of all of those courses in there. A lot of times we'll get that, can I pick my exploratory classes? In 6th grade, like I said, these are just assigned at random. You can choose to be in band or orchestra, and we strongly encourage that. We have a fantastic band and orchestra program. I can say as a parent, I have 2 students, one that's currently still in band, and it's just been such a great place for them to belong. A positive place to learn. So I highly, if you're interested at all, I really encourage that you look at band or orchestra for your students. Those other exploratory classes are going to be given to your students at random. And if they are in band or orchestra, and they're like, oh, I didn't get art, don't worry, they can still take art in 7th or 8th grade. And like I said, Ms. Monica's going to talk about that a little bit more. And also just keeping in mind that same thing again at Anthony and Eisenhower, we offer the exact same classes at both buildings. And so we work really hard to make sure that we're offering the same things for our students, because sometimes we have some movement back and forth. So like I said, for those of you that don't wish to take band or orchestra, you'll cycle through all 8 of those classes. Those can actually be a mix of students from either team. That's another point that we try to make with families or with students if they're worried because they're like, oh my gosh, I'm on the green team and all my friends are on the silver team. We remind them that they will have PE that can mix with the other team, and that they have exploratory classes that also can be with silver or green students. And just because they're not in your class 1st quarter doesn't mean that you might not have them in class 2nd or 3rd or 4th quarters. All right, and this point, I am going to introduce you guys to Mrs. Nancy Monacle. She is one of our band instructors for the district, and she is our lead band teacher at Eisenhower, and she's wonderful. Wow, I like that introduction.
Some of you look a little familiar, like we saw you yesterday at your school. It was so much fun. We had so much fun playing for you. And here's the cool thing. The people you saw yesterday were 7th and 8th graders. They started when they were in 6th grade. You don't just magically get good at a musical instrument. It takes a little while. And I'm seeing some former band kids who are parents now. And I've been around a while. Makes me feel really young. There we go. It is so much fun. 5th graders, I really hope you consider playing an instrument, because this is something you don't do like for a year. It builds on itself. You start as a 6th grader, and like just today, I was listening to our 6th grade group. They're not beginners anymore. They're playing very advanced work for young people, and they're going to be so ready to step in as a 7th grade advanced band musician next year and build and build and build on what they're doing. So here's what we offer instrumental music wise in the school. We have the strings, violin, viola, cello, bass. We have 3 teachers, so they can split those instruments up and you can get really good direct instruction. Now here's the deal. I gotta go notes. Sorry. We do not expect you to know anything about music or how to play your instrument. We just expect you to be willing to try and to be really bad for a while. It takes a lot of courage to be bad at something. But when you start, people who are older who've done this before, you remember how it started and it wasn't very good for a while? Because we were learning. And then by the time December rolls around, you know so many songs and you can play Hot Cross Buns and it is amazing. And then we keep rolling it on and we keep getting better and better and better. And it's just something that they can do from 6th grade to 7th grade to 8th grade and roll on up. Because here's the other thing that's really fun. Those 3 strength teachers I talked to you about, they're going to see them in 7th and 8th grade. They're going to see them in 9th grade, 10th grade, 11th grade, 12th grade. We travel with the kids as they grow. So we learn them, we learn you, and we meet their needs where they are. And we have 4 teachers. And we meet when we start your 6th grader, we have the woodwinds, we have the brass, we have the percussion. They start in light instrument groups so we can move a little faster, so we can get where we are right now in the semester. And they'll be ready to move on. Now, there's a QR code up here. You may or may not be able to see it. It's going to show back up on a couple more slides. And at the very end of the presentation, it's still going to be there. We really kind of like to know what to expect. So if you can fill that form out for us to let us know who your kid is, your email, then we can like directly email you information. If they know what instrument they want to play, that's awesome. There's a place to write that down. If they are not sure, we are going to have what is called, and wait for it, instrument petting zoo. About the middle of April. It's not scheduled quite yet, but if your kid's like, I don't know, flute, trombone, violin, they all seem really fun. They'll get a chance to come and they can try the different instruments. So they can kind of be like, oh, wow, I totally could not play that violin at all. That was not fun. But man, that trombone, that was cool. And then that kind of gives them a sense of where they want to head. And then later in the fall, right before school starts, we'll have an instrumental display night where we'll have music stores come. This all happens at the high school. And then you can come and get an instrument and your book and everything that you need there. All right. Have I missed anything, Mrs. Bunger?
I think so.
Okay, just so you know, most kids, previous to the 6th grade being here, and I'm not sure about since the 6th grade's been here, and like I said, I've been doing this a while, most students choose to be in band and orchestra. This is a chance to try something they haven't had a chance to do before. And they're smart enough now that we can go really fast and we can have a lot of fun. So if you're interested, please make sure you sign up. If you have questions, don't hesitate to talk to me. I'll hang around afterwards in case you have questions. All right, thanks, Ms. Monaco.
He's not sure.
Here.
Okay.
I'm going to talk just really briefly about what your schedule is going to look like, because a lot of students have a lot of questions about this. Your schedule will look something like this. I know it's hard to read, but this is kind of what it's going to look like when it comes out the week of August 12th. I know that seems like a really long ways from now. It'll be the first week of school, that Monday-ish. Those will be live on student or parent portal. Your student will be able to go in and see what classes they have, what teachers they have, what team they're on. They'll just be able to see first quarter only. We just release 1 quarter at a time. So again, like Mrs. Bunger said, know that if your student doesn't get those exploratory classes they really want first quarter, they'll come up 2nd quarter or 3rd quarter or 4th quarter. So just know those will be live that week of August 12th. It'll also have your students' locker information on there as well. And I know students will be looking forward to that. And then another plug for the course description book, because Mrs. Bunger mentioned that. The course description book is online on our counselor website, and again, it'll also be sent out as well. But that has all the information about your core classes, about your exploratory classes. This is what you do in writing across the curriculum. This is what you do in art class. So it's a good resource. And again, like band, orchestra, things like that are all listed there as well, as students are getting into their classes and trying to figure out what they are taking next year. And I'm going to pass it on to Mr. Ackerman to talk just briefly about clubs and activities.
All right, so like I said earlier, I'm the athletic director and the activities director. So start off with the bad news in case incoming 6th graders didn't know this. Unfortunately, you cannot use sports for KSHA until 7th and 8th grade. So no basketball, no volleyball, no track, things like that. That is a bummer, I know. So you have to wait until 7th grade. But the good news is I looked at our activities, club and activities directory, which is on the school website. We have 23 after-school clubs and activities for 6th through 8th. So there is lots of opportunities for you 6th graders coming next year to get yourself involved. One of those opportunities is Boys and Girls Club, and we have a couple Boys and Girls Club representatives right over here. They've got some flyers for you guys. If you have questions or want more details about that, go see them after we're done presenting here. But here's one of my passions and the reason I love this role as athletics and activities director. I feel like if I can get a student involved in something within Eisenhower, whether it's a club, whether it's a sport, that almost always makes for a better student and a better, well-rounded person in general. And so I really love how much we offer here at Eisenhower, plus how easy it is for us to offer something new. So for example, one of our current clubs is disc golf. That's starting up next week. Before, let's say that there was no disc golf club right now, and your son or daughter loves to play disc golf. As a sixth grader next year, they look around like, hey, we don't have a disc golf club. All your son or daughter has to do is find one adult in the building that is willing to sponsor the disc golf club, and we have a disc golf club. And so if you have a real passion, fifth graders right now, the upcoming sixth graders, if you have a real passion, you want to start up a club, you want to start up an activity, come talk to me, find a teacher, find an adult in the building that will be your sponsor, and you can get some friends together and you can create a club. And then again, that just helps you get involved, be active within the building. And we offer as well, and you can see some of the signs on the board up here, like math club, ADL, that kind of deal. We have a bus Monday through Thursday that will take clubs and activities home at 4:30. So if your son or daughter needs a bus ride home, they can still be part of a club after school and get that transportation home as well. So again, just that opportunity to get themselves involved, even as a sixth grader. Then of course they have sports when it comes seventh and eighth grade if they're wanting to do those sports.
Okay, guys, I'm over here. Thanks for coming tonight. Like I said, when I did my introduction, this is just a little snippet of what's going to happen, what a schedule looks like, what it's going to be like. There are a lot of other things that your son and daughter is going to learn as they transition to Eisenhower Middle School. One of those things is happening this spring in April and May. Our counselors have set up site visits for all the elementary fifth grade classes that feed into Eisenhower. So if you are sitting here, you are coming to us next year, and your son or daughter will come up on a field trip for a half day and spend that time with us, with our counselors, with mentors, with students, current sixth grade students who are alum of that school. Will put them through a day as a middle school sixth grade student. So they'll get that. We will also have in August, we'll have back to school nights for parents and students to come in before school starts so that you can tour the school. We have a presentation. The teachers are here. You'll get to meet your teachers, all of that. So we have some upcoming things. So be watching your parents square because information will be coming out. What I can't share with you right now is the schedule that was voted on by teachers, a majority that hasn't been officially voted on, but just through a survey says that we tentatively will start school on a Tuesday this year, which would be August 13th. And that'll be a half day of school. That is not publicly or official yet because our teachers have to vote on that to make it official. And that hasn't happened yet, but just do a survey, like 90-some% voted for that calendar over option 2. So just to start planning, that August 13th is kind of the first half day of school for your son and daughter. But like I said, be watching your emails. Your student might be bringing things home that our awesome counselors send to their fifth grade teachers to send home about information, dates and things like that. So be watching that, be watching our school website. We'll be posting it on there, our Facebook page, etc. So we are excited. One thing that I ask as a building principal is for your son and daughter to finish the year strong, okay? Because so far we've heard awesome things about this incoming sixth grade class, and we are excited as we're starting to plan and prepare for them to be Eagles next year. So I just ask for those of you that are sitting here that are in the 5th grade, I ask you to finish the year strong. I ask you to have a great summer. Don't think about school unless you're going to go to summer school, which is awesome. But enjoy that summertime because we will be ready to rock and roll on the 13th or the 14th, depending on which calendar they approve. But we are going to be ready to rock and roll, and we're going to be expecting that from your son and or daughter. So we are not going to open this up for questions because our venue is so large, and I know some of you need to go, but we are going to hang around here, stay. If you have questions, or don't forget, if you want some more information about the Boys and Girls Club, they have flyers over there, and they'll answer your questions. Any of us will be around to answer your questions as well. Once again, thank you for being here tonight. We are excited and Eagle strong. Thank you.